Some specialized languages were developed to keep outsiders at bay. In other circumstances, languages have been deliberately created to facilitate communication with outsiders. This happens when people who speak two different languages have to work together, usually in some of business relationship or administrative routine. In such situations, the so-called pigeons composed more or less intentionally by vocabulary elements of each language arise, with mutual abandonment of grammatical complexities that will cause confusion to any of the parties. Pigeons have been particularly associated with areas colonized by European traders. For example, have been Chinook Yerga, a lingua franca based on an American indigenous language and English that was previously used in Washington and Oregon, and Biche Lamar, an English based pidgin of parts of the southern seas. Some pigeons have been widely used, such as Tok Pigeon in Papua New Guinea and the pigeons of the coast of West Africa.
Hello, do you know the Pidgins? Pidgin is a language characterized by combining the syntactic, phonetic, and morphology feature of one language with lexical units of another. The origin of this story is unclear. It has been suggested that the word was taken from the Chinese pronunciation of the English word business, but it could also be due to the expression "pidgin English" in reference to the messenger pig, which is what that expression means in English. Pigeons collect and mix syntactic, morphology, and phonetic features of two or more languages. The pigeon speaker uses the formal structure of his mother tongue, which he completes with words from the language of his interlocutor, signs that are used to maintain communication between individuals with different language skills. The grammar is reduced to the indispensable. Pidgin is not usually the maternal dialect of any ethnic or social group. It is usually the dialect was used of by a first generation immigrants in his or her new place of residence, or a lingua franca language used in an area of intense contact with linguistical and different populations. As a very active part, pigeons are very also common in the colonies, mixing mixing elements of the dominant nation's language with that of the natives and slave introducing into it. Initially, the beings originations in America is product of the combination of African and Portuguese language. After the Spanish and Dutch language arrived,
Criollo. When Pidgin became the mother tongue of a generation, it is called the Creole language, also called Creole or Powell, is a language usually born in a community
of people with diverse origin of previously do not share any language who need to communicate it and who are forced to use a language that is not their own. The result is a language that take the lexicon usually vary the form of the imposed language and yet has syntaxis that is more similar to that of the Creole language that of the modern language. The typical example it is of workers or a slave both to the Caribbean plantation from different parts of the world who were forced to use the language for of the colonial power, English, Spanish, to communicate. Um, Initially, communicators take the form of Pidgin when this Pidgin become a native language after several generations. It is spoken in a Creole language. Thank you.